Hey, this is Max, and welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with the veteran noob. This is part 3 of the Veterans Noobs Adventure in CSR. I have not actually used this account in quite a while. It was kind of packed away when I hit around level 70, and has been not accessed for about the past 6 months. But that does not mean this is not currently at a important point in the overall milestone of a new player, and it's worth a discussion, which will be the focus of the part 3 of the Veteran Noobs Adventure CSR. First of all, I am currently out of a crew because, well, no crew would keep you if you're inactive for 6 months. So at some point, I'm going to probably rejoin. Now, as a player coming back or as a new player looking to join a crew at once again, you should do some planning before you reach out to potential crews. One of the first things you should do is check your key status and make sure that you have the potential of getting the PC car in the coming season. Even better would be taking an extra season and acquiring the current season's PC car so that at the next season when you join a milestone crew, you will not miss the specific cup that requires you to have the last season's PC Cup car. With both cars ready, you will be able to get into the milestone crew and immediately start to make some points and most likely be able to meet most minimums, provided, of course, you also have enough bronze keys saved up to at least make it through getting enough parts and getting through the PC Cup. That is just something to think about whether you're coming back as a veteran player or coming back as a new player. Regardless, before joining a crew, definitely take a look at your key counts. Now, so what is this important milestone I have reached as a new player? Well, I have reached the point of Tempest 1. So in the second part of the series, around level 50, I actually completed defeating all 5 bosses, the original bosses, including Shaxx, and then started planning ahead for getting ready for Tempest. As you can see, I have since, within the next 20 levels, upgraded the cars that I have selected to Elite, as well as started my Tempest Hopefuls garage based on the cars I have available to me. Now, everyone has different cars because depending on how you progress through the game and which milestones or which PC cars you acquired, you can have access to different cars that can do the Tempest series. In my case, I have not that many garage of cars, although I have some nice ones, but generally speaking, most of my cars are not really Tempest ready. What I did do though is I selected specific cars to Elite because I don't want to Elite those cars that can actually be used for the entire Tempest. So how did I go about this process? Well, you have to understand that if you Elite a car for Tempest, you can no longer use it in the Tempest event. So before you elite anything for license, what you should first do is comb through your garage and figure out which cars you have may be able to make it through all of the Tempest series. I'm not just talking about Tempest 1, but rather all 3 Tempests. You want to think ahead because you're going to have to build an entire garage of cars, 5 cars, up to 6, sometimes more, to make it through all the Tempest challenges. These cars will not be the ones you will ever elite because once you elite them, you can no longer use them for Tempest. So since you're not eliting these cars and these are going to be your primary Tempest runners, you want one that's not just going to be good for just one Tempest. So here are my hopefuls based on availability in my garage. Golf GTI is one of the best cars for Tempest 1 and 2. It is one of the faster tier 1s when fully maxed, easy to max, easy to drive, easy to tune, and will take out everybody until you are forced to use that Miata in Tempest 3. So Golf GTI, if you have a 1 star, definitely top choice for Tempest. Because it has high acceleration and tops out quickly, it is not a speed trap car, but it is very easy to use for all the sprint challenges. This is also true if you want to use the Ford Fiesta, that's fine as well. Although that car is a little bit slower on the 0 to 60 versus the GTI. So a little bit tougher to tune for some of the 0 to 60s, but generally good all around. This running almost a 11.8 fully max means that you will easily defeat both bosses final times. For tier 2, I picked the 718 Boxer S. Now, this is kind of a good choice because it's just simply the best card to use for Tempest in tier 2, but a bad choice in some sense because it is very hard to max this car unless you're just lucky with Porsche fusions and Porsche parts. There's some positives. One is I've always managed to pull a lot of 718s out of silver keys while I'm pulling for PC car, so I'm not particularly worried about eventually getting the parts. Two is we actually have a Porsche PC Cup coming up next season, so there you go, your chance to get more Porsche Fusions. So this car will be built more, and so far I've been lucky enough to actually get one of the most important stage sixes for this car, which is nitrous. Without nitrous, it's hard to hit the speed traps in Tempest 3, but with nitrous, it becomes very good. Some key things to note about this car for those who are planning to use it: leave engine stock, leave transmission at stage 5. Don't bother to upgrade to stage 6. Everything else, of course, if you get stage 6, you would upgrade it, and nitrous is needed for speed traps. So leaving it at stock engine stage 5 trends, you actually get the car to run faster. All tunes for Tempest while you're doing it still leaves those two parts the way it is. So you're never going to really add engine unless it is simply to hit a target time and your car's a little short on other parts. You can add an engine, and at lower build with less upgrades, sometimes that can be helpful. But generally speaking, I don't use engine at all for the Porsche Boxster for any build. So that is the tier 2 choice. Again, I have a backup choice as well, which is right here, M235i Coupe, which will get me through Tempest 1 and 2. No problem at all, fully maxed. Easy to max by buying M235i from the dealership. The hope is, of course, I don't have to build this car and I can just eke out enough Porsche Boxster parts that I can make it through all three Tempests without worrying about building the BMW. Now, tier 3, there are quite a few cars you can use, including the M4, the LBM4, the LBRS5, the regular RS5, which gets a little rough near the end there. So LBRS5 is actually a little better. But in my case, I've decided to go with Mustang GT Premium. Again, the main reason being that I can fully max this car by buying dealership cars and not having to worry about luck and bronze key pulls and waiting for some kind of event to get my fusions and stage 6 parts. Mustang GT Premium will get you through Tempest 3 all the way through. The next tier, I have two cars here. There's a reason why I did this. Now, I found out recently that LBNSX, of course, could make it through all the way, all Tempests, all the way through to Tempest 3 if you have it maxed. Well, as a newer player account, that's highly unlikely to happen anytime soon. So what I did is I have two cars here, one that I can max out, the Nissan GTR Premium, which I will tell you, if you pull enough silver keys, you get plenty of these guys. This car is very good for Tempest 1 and 2, and is good enough for Tempest 3 for the sprints, while this car will take care of all the speed traps. So for Tempest 3, I'll probably focus on using LBNSX first, if it's built enough to get me to a certain point, and then for certain sprints, I'll just switch to this car. Yes, it'll cost me some gold, but hey, it's still worth it. So here, I have two cars for that reason, but really I'm going to be focusing on the Nissan GTR for the first portion of Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, and only really start to focus on LBNSX when I get to Tempest 3. I have plenty of time. It's going to take me a while to get through Tempest 1 and 2 as it is. So for the other tier, for tier 5, I've decided to build the F12 Berlinetta, not because I love this car over the Hurricane, but really because at this point, I've already invested more time, energy, and funds into Ferrari parts and fusion that the F12 is just much further along. And since having already spent about 10, 15 million building this, I do not want to go back and spend another 30 million starting off with the Hurricane Coupe. The other thing is I used Lamborghini Fusions for the Aventador SVJ so it can get to the 10s, so I can get it as a elite choice. And that again also influenced my decision to pick the F12 as the final Tempest car. The F12, as you have probably seen in my other videos, can make it all the way through all three Tempests. Uh, at some points require a little bit of tuning and careful driving, but other than that, generally an easy cruise through Tempest as long as you have it basically maxed out. And for Tempest 3, definitely get it fully maxed just to be on the safe side. Not a hard car to fully max out. Ferrari Fusions are common. Ferrari F12s can be bought and stripped. Of course, that costs quite a bit of money, so you got to play, earn money, and then strip it as you have money saved up. So that kind of brings us into position to deal with Tempest 1. And the first Tempest 1 challenge is actually uh, Amelia. And you don't want to really lose on this one at the end because she actually gives you the LBM3, that's a purple star. I mean, I'm sorry, LBM4, that's a purple star. It's a very good car. Not the top car in Tempest 3. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of losing my thought here. Not quite the top car in Tier 3, but good enough to get you through many things, and it's a good car for a lot of the map racing nowadays. Even though it's not necessarily a killer in live anymore, but definitely a worthy car to get, and you don't want to lose it as an option. The other car I would definitely want to get would be Angel Civic, which is actually a good Tier 1 live racer with the TNT tune. But that doesn't end your trek through collecting cars. Here's why. What you have to realize is that as you go through each Tempest, you have to elite 5 more cars. So the total number of cars you need to complete all 3 Tempests would actually be 4 of each car in each tier. 3 of each tier, except for the Mazda Miata, which will be given to you, but 3 of each tier essentially for eliting and getting the elite license, and then a full set of cars for completing Tempest itself. In order to make sure that you are ready, you need to start planning ahead. Now, this goes back to why I'm keeping this garage and focusing on this without ever eliting them, but I also have to start considering my next Tempest 2 series of elite licensed cars because you don't get to repeat use these. You don't want to burn up those. So you have to actually start collecting and putting aside the next set of elite cars that you're going to use. That is usually very dependent upon what parts you have, what cars you have, and you just have to start putting them all in one garage and start thinking ahead for Tempest 2 Elite license. And as you know, um, many players, many new players, particularly when they get to Tempest 3, the one that they have a lot of struggle with is the 9.1 second Tier 5 car. So that's something you need to think ahead as well. I already have my choice here as one option, and also uh, this is an option, and this is an option because these are all 7-second cars when fully maxed. That means if I can pull at least a few stage sixes somewhere along the line, I can easily get that car under 9.1. And worst case scenario, this guy here, I can always build for that as well. So I have my tier 5 options already. I also managed to acquire the A12 Superfast uh, with the few gold keys that I had when I first reactivated this account yesterday. So I'm pretty stoked about that. This is a great car for live racing. As soon as I get some money and strip some more F12s, I will simultaneously build this car as well as continue to build the F12 itself. So that is the current part of the Veteran Noobs Adventure. This is actually an important milestone point for new players because poor planning at this point and just rushing in and building any old car and start moving forward into locking them in and playing through the Tempest series will end up costing you a ton of gold. And you're going to be stuck and probably frustrated, wondering what went wrong. Bottom line is with this game, a lot of it comes back to ability to get fusions and ability to get parts. This is why the cars that you want to use may not be your favorite car in the game, both look wise or performance wise, but you want to use cars that you can actually get somewhere with. And generally speaking, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and McLarens are always good. Audi and Ford you can get Fusions for as well. But cars like Porsche, Honda, and some other brands that are more obscure, including actually Chevy, which isn't obscure but hard to get Fusions for, those are probably not cars you want to immediately start focusing on. Dodge, you can get parts for, but the Viper ACR is notoriously hard to get stage sixes for. All these little things need to be considered. So if you're not sure as a new player and you're in a milestone crew, ask questions. Check YouTube. There are plenty of information out there that can help you decide. I also highly recommend you to join the CSR2 community Facebook page, as well as the CSR2 Racing Tips and Tunes page. Uh, I'm on both pages, and there are plenty of very knowledgeable people who would be able to help you when you get to those pages. So, that is the update on the Veteran Noobs Adventures. I am going to think about reactivating this account fully in a season or two. I'm going to do one season without joining a crew to kind of prepare one to get the Porsche for next season and enough Porsche Fusions to get my 718 more built. And then the season after that, I may fully make this account more active and go ahead and start building it up some more so I can continuously update about my progression in Tempest 1, 2, and 3. So I hope you will continue to follow this Veteran Noobs Adventure series, and I will now try to make it a more regular update. But each part I would like to do most likely when I hit some kind of milestone point in progression so that you're not just watching me every 5 levels telling you, hey, I gained another 3 cars. That's wonderful. When I get through most of Tempest 1 or certain tough points in Tempest 1, I will give you an update and so on and so forth. I hope this video gave you some good information and insight. Uh, if you liked the video, please leave a like so I know that people are interested in me continuing with this particular series. And please subscribe to the channel. This way you can get notifications when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I will catch you with the next CSR2 video. Have a good one.